As Britpop boomed in the 90s, it was Blur and Oasis at each other's throats.
If you were living in the United Kingdom in the mid-1990s, that genre of music was just all over the place. So many well-known bands from Oasis to Blur, Pulp, Suede, and so many others in this genre dominated the charts for a good couple of years. So many classics you can name. Wonderwall. Yeah, I'm not really well versed into the genre. Like many Americans in the 1990s, I was raised in a grunge household, so outside that one Oasis song we might all know on acoustic guitar, I was mostly uninformed about the genre. Now I know plenty more bands, but the point is that I don't go out of my way to listen to them. But for a while, I thought I just knew one song. It wasn't until I realized today's subject is not only Britpop, but this may well be my first exposure to it. Sweet Symphony by the Verve.
It's a bittersweet symphony.
This song is just too good. There is a lot of love for this song, and the music video for that matter, where a man is walking down the streets of London where he just ends up bumping into people without much thought going into the wellness of others. It is, by all accounts, one of the biggest staples in 90s music, a real load-bearing hit for the second half of the decade. And just as well, its music video has been very much beloved since its release in 1997. Easily recognizable, in fact. You take one good look at lead singer Richard Ashcroft in this, and you know you are about to experience a classic. Must explain why this is one of the few music videos of that decade to be seen over 1 billion times on YouTube. So what is the story with this song, and why has the music video continued to resonate so well over the years? Well, I'll try my best to explain about the history of both song and music video, including mentioning an alternative version that you may not be aware of. Walk with me for this, as it is once again music video time, and we are talking about Bittersweet Symphony by the Verve.
The average age of Verve is 20, but the band's influences are from before they were born.
Now, information about the making of Bittersweet Symphony's music video is all over the place, so hopefully this video reins it all together. Now, let's talk about where the Verve was around this time. Or rather not, because in 1995, they had broken up. Their second album, Northern Soul, was well received upon release, and they garnered their first couple top 40 hits off it. However, the recording sessions were quite erratic. How so? Well, apparently the band wanted a club atmosphere when making the album, so they decided to use ecstasy. Not everyone though, as guitarist Nick McCabe was not into the partying as he found it to be boring and distracting. Nevertheless, they managed to get the album done, and it did get released, with the album peaking at number 13 on the UK charts. Then came the touring, specifically their US tour, where things really did fall apart, and they would eventually call it quits.
In hindsight, the disintegration of the Verve was always on the cards. 4 years of decadence, drug abuse, ego clashes, and great music.
I say quits, but weeks later, Ashcroft got bassist Simon Jones and drummer Pete Salisbury back to try to make new music, though without McCabe. They would work on their third album, Urban Hymns, in 1996 without McCabe at first. They had Simon Tong be their lead guitarist in McCabe's absence, but that position wouldn't last. By 1997, Ashcroft asked McCabe to rejoin the band as it was not working out without him, and McCabe obliged. So now the Verve was whole again, with Simon Tong staying as their rhythm guitarist and keyboardist. With all this out of the way, let's talk about the making of Bittersweet Symphony properly. Bittersweet Symphony is the opening track to Urban Hymns. When it comes to Britpop, there were usually inspirations from many previous bands in British-centric genres that helped give Britpop its sound. A lot of 60s bands were major influences with a lot of the big acts at the time. The Beatles being a heavy influence for Oasis, for example. With Bittersweet Symphony, it would be the Rolling Stones as an inspiration for the track.
The Rolling Stones.
Well, maybe influence is putting it lightly, as they specifically used a song by the Stones that would be sampled. That would be 1965's The Last Time. Even more specifically, it's the orchestral version by the Andrew Oldham Orchestra. Andrew Oldham was the original manager for the Rolling Stones, by the way. And when you listen to it, yeah, it sounds a bit like Bittersweet Symphony. But at a minute 38 of this instrumental, It definitely sounds familiar. This bit is the backbone of the Verve's legendary hit. They sampled 4 bars of the song and put it on loop, added their own instrumentals and strings, and made what would end up becoming their real breakthrough. And they were all well aware of how great it sounded, as it would become the lead single for the upcoming album, which of course means they needed to make a music video. The video was directed by Walter Stern. Stern had a pretty good track record before working with the Verve, directing music videos for Manic Street Preachers, Chemical Brothers, and plenty of videos by the Prodigy.
I'm a fire starter, twisted fire starter.
Most notably, Stern was the director for both Firestarter and Breathe off the Prodigy's Fat of the Land album. Breathe even won Viewer's Choice at both the MTV Video Music Awards and International Viewer's Choice for MTV Europe, and won Best Video at the MTV Europe Music Awards. So he's a perfect choice for a director. When Stern sent his treatment to the video to the Verve's record label Hut Records, they deemed it too expensive and wanted him to make a new one. When coming up with a plan B, he remembered a short film idea he came up with when he was in college about a man trying to walk down the street in a straight line. As Stern said in the book How to Make It in the Music Business by Sean Paddington, luckily it fitted in with the band. And so the music video was shot in the span of 2 days in Hoxton, London. As well, it was shot near the end of Urban Hymn's recording. Honestly, information about this video does seem pretty scarce, but I'm not sure what the production costs were. Also curious about the pedestrians throughout being actors or people walking about. It might be the same situation as another video we'll talk about in a bit. This might have just ended up being a pretty straightforward video production. So let's talk about the video itself. So the video has Richard Ashcroft walking down Hoxton in a straight line, and he sings the song as he walks.
It's a bittersweet symphony.
You know, me describing it as such makes this sound like the most boring and basic music video in the world, but what makes it so interesting to watch is that Ashcroft has no courtesy whatsoever. As in, he just walks into people with no real emotion. That, ladies and gentlemen, is interesting. But the funny thing is, Ashcroft had no clue that this was what was supposed to happen in the video. As Stern said in How to Make It in the Music Business, Richard Ashcroft said that he didn't want to do any acting and wanted to keep the filming very low-key and private. Just him, me, and the cameraman, so he wouldn't be embarrassed. He agreed to my idea. Then, the next thing he knew, he was surrounded by loads and loads of people, the exact opposite of what he wanted. And because of that, apparently, Ashcroft was genuinely angry when filming the music video. Makes sense, he expected to be himself and the crew, but this does end up with the attitude becoming pretty iconic. If you ask me, if this video was just Ashcroft walking, it really would not have worked.
The film did very poorly.
Ashcroft needed to be as surly as possible with no sense of grace throughout, walking and to a great extent knocking people to the ground, stepping on people's cars, using car windows as mirrors, and you're more than likely weirding people out on the other side. But why is he acting like this? And I'm not just talking about because he's pissed off in real life. Why is Ashcroft being like this? Well, the answer comes from the song itself. He is singing about how life is a bittersweet symphony, which I must say, it is a really beautiful sounding song, but
Don't change, I can change, I can change, I can change.
man, is it not also depressing? Which makes the inspiration for these lyrics make total sense once you find out that Ashcroft was inspired by Arthur Miller's 1949 classic Death of a Salesman.
Someday I'll have my own business and I'll never have to be home anymore.
Ashcroft read the play when he was at school, and it seems like the character of Willie Loman was a great choice to make a song around.
I'm here in my moment.
I mean, it works, though I'm not entirely sure what the music video's message is supposed to be. I don't think there's ever been an explanation if there was supposed to be a deeper meaning to this besides man walks on a street. Maybe the video is all surface and it's supposed to be that. I don't know. But at the conclusion of the video, he is met up with others who are the other members of the Verve. I'd like to think that in one way of seeing this, just being like a group of apathetic guys just walking together on the streets, I don't know, that's how I see it. But then again, it could come from the fact that since the music video's release, there have been comparisons made between it and Massive Attack's Unfinished Sympathy. A classic in its own right, when you compare the two videos, they have a lot of similarities. Both involve the singer being the focus as they walk their respective streets, being oblivious to the world. I mean, come on. Unfinished Sympathy, Bittersweet Symphony. But there are enough differences that make these two stand out on their own. For Unfinished Sympathy, it focuses on the trek of singer Shara Nelson walking through the streets of Los Angeles as she walks past people such as the handicapped, couples kissing, this guy's just grooving about. This is a very rewatchable music video as it is shot all in one take, which is a really impressive feat to accomplish since not only is all of it unedited, but there's a combination of extras and non-actors they shot during this. An example of this being the guy with the dog at the beginning. Completely different to how edited Bittersweet Symphony is. But with Unfinished Sympathy, the music video wants you to focus on Nelson as she's singing, but it causes you to miss out on the surroundings as interesting things do happen in the video. Basically being like Nelson, ignoring what's around you. As for Bittersweet Symphony, the people Ashcroft bumps into becomes part of the focus because of his recklessness. His rude demeanor is adding people into this situation he has created, which is really funny since this is how these two videos are separated out. Author Trevor Baker's book, Richard Ashcroft, The Verve, Burning Money, and the Human Condition has a real nice analysis between these two videos. Baker saw Nelson as being more lost in her thoughts throughout Unfinished Sympathy, while Ashcroft had more belligerence and aggression, saying it was accurately depicting his single-mindedness, not to mention his ability to brush aside people who got in his way and who couldn't keep up. Really interesting way to look at the video, but I do have to wonder what the original treatment was supposed to be, since it's really funny how Stern's second idea was to just film someone walking. I mean, Stern said that he remembered a film idea he had in college of this, like not even a made student film. Apparently it's just like an idea he came up with at school. And I guess he just ended up seeing Unfinished Sympathy and used that as an influence for his later music video. I guess there was an intersection at the end. So once the music video was finished, it was shown to the masses in June of 1997. And for a video that involved walking a bunch, its success hit the ground running.
With 4 hit singles, it's been a landmark year for the Verve.
When the song was released in the UK on June 16th, 1997, I believe the music video was released around the same time, the song was practically an immediate hit. It debuted at number 2 on the UK singles chart for the week of June 28th, 1997. I believe that it would have hit the number 1 slot, but it missed out to, P. Diddy.
Still living your life after death.
Shit, really? Alright, either way, debuting at number 2 for a band is amazing. Even better was the single. While going in and out of the charts multiple times from 97 to 98, it was on the charts for well over 40 weeks. That's nearly 10 months on the charts. Amazing. Meanwhile, in the United States, the introduction to this song for many was the ever relevant for these topics, MTV. Like many alternative bands around this time, and also British bands that usually didn't go across the pond, The Verve was shown on MTV's 120 Minutes as early as July 11th, 1993, with their song Slide Away. They also had a couple other videos played during 1995 and 96, so it would be 120 minutes where Bittersweet Symphony would make its channel debut. Its first appearance on the block was on the August 17th, 1997 episode, and it would be shown on the channel block on 5 different installments that year. As well, it was also one of the last music videos shown when the block ended in 2003, which could be seen as a badge of honor. As for it appearing on MTV's main block, it was added to the main rotation for the week of August 24th, 1997. I'm guessing that it being on 120 minutes made it popular enough to end up being shown with many other big hit songs. Didn't want to make this funny aside though. 1997 seems to have been a good year for a band with Verve in their name.
I was young, I knew everything.
Not only was Urban Hymns and Bittersweet Symphony massive hits, but earlier in 97, The Freshman by American alternative band Verve Pipe became a massive hit, peaking at number 5 on the Hot 100.
We were merely freshmen.
Wonder if there was any confusion for anyone seeing both bands named Verve playing on MTV at the time? Because when Bittersweet Symphony debuted, Verve Pipe's Villains was also playing, so imagine just thinking that both of these were from the same band. I don't think it's likely, but it's like, it might have caused some confusion. In terms of its US chart success, Billboard originally relegated this song to the rock charts at first, which it did do well on, peaking at number 4 on the US modern rock charts in January 1998. But it wouldn't be until March 10th, 1998, when a limited edition 4-track EP with the song on it, where it would finally hit on Billboard's Hot 100, at number 13 for the week of March 28th, 1998. And then the next week, it would hit its peak one slot higher at number 12. It would stay on Billboard's charts for 20 weeks, with its last recording being at number 77 for the week of August 8th, 1998. And if you look at the certifications for this song, it has gotten many gold records from multiple countries, including the US. The United Kingdom has it at 4 times platinum, meaning it has sold 2.4 million copies. As for Urban Hymns, it debuted at number 1 on the UK albums charts and stayed on the charts for 85 straight weeks. 12 of those at number 1. And as of September 2019, the album has sold over 10 million copies worldwide. This album was a massive success, and it was all thanks to how popular Bittersweet Symphony was, especially the video. And the success of their lead single would continue with their second single, The Drugs Don't Work. To briefly talk about its music video, it's sort of a sequel to Bittersweet Symphony. It starts where the first video ends, as you see the members of the Verve walking on the streets of London, I guess to remind people of their iconic music video to watch this too. But the rest of the video just has them perform The Drugs Don't Work while wearing the clothing they had in the previous video. I guess they wanted some sort of connective tissue. And while Bittersweet Symphony debuted at number 2 on the UK charts, Drugs Don't Work debuted at number 1. So you could say this was the more successful song off the album chart-wise. I read that part of the reason it immediately hit number 1 was due to it being released a day after the death of Princess Diana of Wales. It's possible, as it is a pretty sad song that people could have listened to. This time I'm coming down. Before Candle in the Wind came out the next week and became number 1. Also, this song stayed on the chart much less compared to Bittersweet's run, but overall, it's an amazing feat. Though from the looks of it, it wasn't released as a single in the US. I'm guessing Virgin skipped this for Lucky Man, thinking that would have been a better choice for the United States. Ended up being true, it managed to hit the US modern rock charts, peaking at number 16. In terms of reception, the NME not only called Bittersweet Symphony the song of 1997, but it was also the music video of the year.
Who will show their face at the 1998 MTV Video Music Awards?
Meanwhile, the music video was nominated for 3 awards at the 1998 MTV Video Music Awards: Best Group Video, Best Alternative Video, and Video of the Year. They would end up leaving the ceremony empty-handed. And also, the music video didn't end up being nominated at the MTV Europe Music Awards, but they did end up getting nominated for Best Alternative in '97, losing to The Prodigy. It was also nominated at the Brit Awards, but that lost to Never Ever by All Saints. But with that being said, even now, this video continued to be well remembered, ending up on Best Of lists from the likes of Rolling Stone to Slant Magazine. And that's not getting into the song being considered one of the greatest songs of the 90s. This has remained the Verve's signature song and is considered one of the best from the Britpop genre. And with praise also comes the parodies over the years. One particular parody of note was Fat Les's Vindaloo. Really, a band named Fat Les.
Where on earth are you from?
Anyway, this music video is an outright parody of Bittersweet Symphony, with a Richard Ashcroft stand-in played by Paul Kaye walking down the same streets as the original video, while everyone seems to just throw stuff at the guy, which is a really funny way to subvert the original. Apparently this video also has a lot of British comedians and actors in it that I do not know, and will continue not to. What an evolution we have here. This video is parodying another, which was influenced by another beforehand.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Please do a lump of cheddar cheese.
And just as funny is that Vindaloo would debut at number 2 on the UK singles charts, the same peak as the Verve song, and stay like that for 3 solid weeks. Another parody of note happened in 2015, with a television ad for Radio X, with their host Chris Moyles walking down a street colliding with people. Despite the fact that this is an obvious parody of a really famous music video that did something like this, it received 106 complaints from viewers who felt the video was offensive and encouraged antisocial and violent behavior. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. This ad would end up being cleared by the Advertising Standards Authority.
Across the UK on Radio X.
But while this video has and continues to be massively popular, Ashcroft has had some reservations.
Because at the end of the day, I was walking down the street 400 times in the East End of London for 2 days. It's like, what are you going to look like? You're not going to look like Mary Poppins, are you? You know what I mean?
He loathed that his stare in the video had become a defining aspect of his personality. And after the song was a success, people were starting to recognize the singer on the street. Apparently, there was at least one occasion where van drivers went by him and told him, "Oi, mate, the video's finished." And yeah, that seems irritating, but the song was a success, so the money probably helped make things better, right? If you're a Verve fan, or know a fair bit about this song's history, you know what I'm about to talk about next. As I said before, this song samples the Rolling Stones' The Last Time, and it being a sample, they needed clearance to use it. But the thing is, neither Mick Jagger or Keith Richards had the rights to that song, despite both having songwriting credit. In fact, they didn't own a good chunk of their early works. Those songs would belong to Alan Klein, their former manager. Now, Alan Klein is a pretty infamous figure in music, so what I'm about to talk about is pretty on par with Klein's business practices. You see, the band got permission to use the Last Time sample from Decca Records, who were the label the Stones were signed onto at the time. However, Klein had the composition rights to the song and did not approve of the usage of the sample. He straight up disliked sampling as a concept and did not want any Rolling Stones song sampled. And the Verve and Virgin Records tried to convince him to change his mind. They even tried getting Jagger and Richards involved, but while they did like the track, they really did not want to get involved due to past lawsuits they had with Klein and his record label. But eventually, a copy of the song was sent Klein's way, and he ended up enjoying it and approved the sample. They agreed that half of the royalties would go to Ashcroft and half would go to Klein. However, after this agreement, Klein and his label wanted 100% of the royalties to go to his company. While it was too late by the time the song was released, a lawsuit was done where it was ruled in the favor of Klein, resulting in the song credits being given to Jagger and Richards and all of the money going to Klein.
Industry rule number 4080, record company people are shady.
And if that wasn't bad enough, Andrew Oldham, who owns the copyright to the orchestral version of the song, you know, the one that the Verve used in the first place, sued the Verve for £1 million.
Already dead.
So in the end, Ashcroft only got £1,000 off this song. But at least they got newfound success and they can get ready to go on tour to promote the album. Then after that, they could work on the next one. Well, guess what? Old habits die hard, as by 1998, Nick McCabe grew tired of touring and dropped out of their tour and leave the band. And this tour would end up being a complete disaster, and they would last perform as the Verve on August 29th. It wouldn't be until April 1999 where they would officially announce they would break up a second time. Now, they did come back together one more time in 2007 and made one more album, Fourth, in 2008. But once again, they would end up breaking up a third time with McCabe and Simon Jones not wanting to speak with Ashcroft anymore. More than likely, the Verve is just done now. But we aren't done with the story. In 2019, the Rolling Stones would give Ashcroft the songwriting credits and subsequently the royalties of the song. That's great. Do want to note that Alan Klein had been dead since 2009, so they probably could have given him the rights back sooner than a whole decade later. But I guess with Ashcroft making a big stink wanting the rights back before this decision, things finally went his way. With this issue resolved, Ashcroft can use it the best way he can. By recreating the music video to promote Sky Sports F1 racing. Money well spent. I do want to admit something. I'm not actually crazy about this music video. I mean, I know it's pretty beloved, but while I do really like this song, I can't help but think of how this video is just a guy walking down the street bumping into people. Saying that out loud, while the results are seen as provocative in the video, I'm just not wowed. Heck, I've been putting off making a video because I am not that interested. That being said, I do want to bring up one more thing about the music video before we wrap up. On October 9th, 2020, a YouTube account by the name of Very Lucky Man uploaded an alternative version to Bittersweet Symphony's video. And just looking at its thumbnail, you know something is off. When you watch the video, it starts off just like how we normally know it. But once it approaches around the 3-minute mark, then you notice this isn't the same take. This isn't the moment where Ashcroft is looking at his reflection on a car window. He almost gets hit by another car, but when he crosses the road, he bumps into a group of men and gets immediately pummeled. The other members of the Verve seem to be looking on but do nothing. Then Ashcroft gets back up, looking bloodied and in noticeable pain, yet he continues to walk. And if that's not different enough, he ends up somewhere completely different at the end. I honestly don't know where, but he sees a wall and puts his finger on it, and then it ends. Now, I have no idea how to feel about this version. Him getting beaten up really changes the tone of the video, but I have no idea what the ending is supposed to be. I'm just gonna assume that the sudden violence did not meet the standards in some way, and so they had to get it changed. But who knows? It's hard to tell since there's barely any information about this. Which makes me wonder where this version came from. This is mentioned in How to Make It in the Music Business, which was published in 1998, so this fact was public a year after the video came out, though I'm assuming this was still obscure until this 2020 upload. In the book, Stern said this version was different from the one shown on MTV. That implies this wasn't shown on TV. So where did it come from? How did someone procure a copy? In the comments of the video, some claim that it was shown on Canadian television, but I have no way of verifying this, and you can clearly see there's no TV bug on the corner, and I don't even think the uploader even said where they got it from, so it's still a mystery. But I guess this was basically lost media until 2020. Just a fascinating piece of trivia to think about. Well, this history lesson was definitely another example of how a music video can yield massive success for a band. And while I don't really care for the end result, I do appreciate its impact. Sweet Symphony is a great song with a pretty memorable music video. And even though the lawsuit caused Ashcroft to not make anything from their mega hit for decades, what else can I say but, that's life. Thanks for your time.